Welcome back to Pen and Prosper, a podcast where we discuss writing and publishing and book marketing and everything in between. JT is not here today. She is under a very strict editing deadline. So we have the amazing Rachel Morgan with us today.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Hello, Rach. For those who don't know, Rachel is a fantasy author that lives here in South Africa. She is one of my heroes at the top of her game. She writes clean, very fast-paced, character-driven fantasy. And because I like to put my money where my mouth is, when I say I'm a fan, I'm actually a fan.
Impressive. Thank you.
Okay, and we are going to talk today about audiobooks.
Mhm.
Something
Yes.
I'm very excited about because I know you've produced a lot of different types of audiobooks. And you've worked quite a lot with audio. In fact, I think you said a lot of is it most of your income or like a huge chunk of your income comes from your audiobooks?
So I haven't looked recently within the last, say, 6 to 12-ish months. Prior to that, yes, pretty significant. I think for the year before, I think that was when I showed you, what was it like? Was it a third or more?
I was shocked. I was like, that is a lot. I mean, considering I've had very little traffic to my audiobooks, that I haven't even really focused on marketing them because I just thought it was just like one of those little add-ons that you give people, you know? But yeah, you've really, I mean, made some nice money from your audiobooks.
Yeah,
Um,
thank goodness for audio.
So for me, I did the whole ACX thing a few years ago. A whole lot of authors were jumping on ACX because you could do that narrator royalty split. So it didn't cost a huge amount of money. You would share the royalties with the narrator. So I thought that was fantastic. I've never been averse to giving away portions of my royalties to people if they're going to help me to get where I need to get to. And just from a financial point of view, I didn't have like 80,000 Rand per book to throw at a backlist. I
No,
think if you're
exactly.
starting out now, it's something you should focus on every book you write, get all your formats out. But you know, when I started, certainly I didn't do that. So I did the ACX thing, and like most authors outside of the US, found the workaround. I mean, I did all the things. I had the American tax number. I've contacted the IRS. I did the whole thing, but my account has recently been banned, and so now I'm starting from scratch. So this conversation is super valuable to me because I actually don't know which way to turn. I've got like 24 books to put into audio and a million options. Some very expensive and some very affordable. So I think first, why don't we talk about the different ways now? Because the landscape has changed so much over the past, say, 2 years. Well, actually, why don't we go back and say 2 years ago, what were our options? You before the rise of AI and all this. And I think you and I are both very pro human voices, but
Mhm.
there's also affordability is a thing. It just is a thing. And as
Yeah.
JT has constantly points out, AI has allowed her to actually put money in real humans' pockets, money that she wouldn't have had if she hadn't embraced technology. So I'll tell that.
Definitely pro-human, but also pro stratification, pro the whole shebang, basically.
Yes. Yeah.
The easiest option for you as the author would be if a publisher does it for you. So
Yes.
a lot of authors have been approached by a publisher like Tantor or Podium or the Dream something, Dreamscape. I feel like maybe I shouldn't mention that in case I get the name wrong.
Did you not write it down?
I was just like, publisher, full stop.
All right, as you were. Carry on.
Yes, you may be approached by a publisher like Podium or Tantor, who may offer you a deal and then take all the work off your plate, and then you get you get a smaller royalty then because they're paying for everything and they're finding the narrators and they're taking care of all of that while you get on with the rest of your stuff. So if you have an agent, also you can then try to get an audio deal with the publisher, or you can self-narrate as well if you have a little studio setup. There are some authors who have great voices who've done this. I don't think I have a voice for audio, and I know it's a huge amount of work. So I personally was never interested in doing that. And then what a lot of us have been doing is working directly with narrators. So that's when you'd be going via ACX or Findaway Voices or, yeah, basically self-publishing, self-producing, and getting a narrator to record for you and paying the narrator directly.
Okay.
So those are kind of the mainstream options before AI came along.
Yes.
And
Just to back up on that, what can we expect if someone says, "All right, I have the stream, I've had it since lunch, and I want to have my audiobook. Okay, my voice is off the table. We South African, nobody wants to listen to us. Um, how do you approach a narrator and you say, okay, this person's going to narrate my book, it's going to be amazing. But realistically, ballpark, how much can you expect to spend on that narrator if you have, say, a 10-hour, 12-hour audiobook?
right, let's first go back to how are you going to find a narrator? Okay, I know on ACX, I personally have never used ACX, so you can speak to this more than I can, but I think you can get auditions and you can search the platform for narrators. Okay,
Yes.
but outside of that, yes, and find away voices, you used to be able to do that, but you can't anymore. So outside of those platforms where you can easily find a narrator, what I like to do is just listen to some audiobooks to find a voice that I like. So I would go to Audible or whatever my chosen platform is and search within my genre because a lot of narrators become known within a specific genre and they develop a following for a certain type of book. So it might be a bit strange if you choose someone who's known for their super steamy erotic reading and you choose them for your very clean YA middle grade, something or other. So search within your genre and listen to some samples. And if you know whether the book has been traditionally published or self-published, then that also makes it easier to know whether you might be able to afford before you even approach that narrator. Because if it's someone who's working with a big five traditional publisher, they may not even work with indies or they may charge quite a lot. So
Mm.
if you can see, oh, I like this voice and I know that they've worked on all these self-published titles, then they're probably fairly affordable-ish. In terms of price, it does range quite considerably. And narrators who are fairly new and who are just getting in um, are charging not too much. So maybe, I mean, I haven't looked in a while, but I don't know if anyone is charging like under $200 per finished hour these days. There might be. The narrators that I have used have all charged in the region of $300 to $350 per finished hour. So if we're looking, I know we're both looking to
Both looking for a calculator.
if it's yeah, let's say it's an eight
Okay.
hour, 8 times 350, $2,800.
Which is
And
how much in rands? I mean, that's
you multiply by 19-ish, that's 53,200.
and realistically
So
speaking, a new author with a new release does not have 53,000 rand to spend on a narrator.
and
I
I
mean,
mean depending
established authors don't have 53,000 often, you know? You got to
yeah.
sell a lot of books to make
Yes, you
53,000.
do. And as we will get to, it's a lot easier to sell in a series, which means you have to pay for all of them to be produced
Yes.
first.
Yes. Mm.
Yeah.
And it is soul destroying and it is heartbreaking because you do want to work with real people. And I also completely understand that narrators have an incredible skill and it takes them a huge
Absolutely.
amount of
Yeah.
time and they are not underpaid. It's just that
No, yeah. I
unfortunately
mean,
most indie authors
I
can't
do,
afford
yeah.
it.
And I know how much work goes into it, and they do their job brilliantly, the ones who are good. So I don't begrudge them what they pay at all. I'm happy to pay them. It's just sometimes you don't have
The money.
85,000
Yeah.
around.
So that is how we can create an audiobook. And well, that was a few years ago. And then dun 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 AI happened.
Uh-huh.
And
Okay,
now
so
there
the
are multiple ways to do it without a human voice. And again, we stand by the fact that that is first prize. But
yes.
let's discuss, because it is a realistic thing, what are our options since the rise of AI in terms of audiobooks?
So first of all, they've come a long way. They certainly sound pretty good these days, a lot of the voices. So the one that's kind of at the top that most people talk about is the 11 Labs. So their voices are great. And what is cool is that they have a lot of voices that are labeled as, let me get this right, professional voice clones. I think that's what they're called. So
Okay.
these are humans who have cloned their voices and they've licensed their voices. They've given permission for their voice to be used. So if you use their voice, then they get paid. This
Oh,
is my
that's cool.
understanding.
So you can use AI and still be paying a human person.
So they're obviously earning a lot less, but
Yes.
they're doing a lot less work for it. So, I mean, I can't speak for the narrator side because I'm not one, but I can see how somebody would license their voice so that their voice can get on and earn money for them. on its
Yes.
own, and then also perform audiobooks traditionally, and then you have this stratified income as a narrator.
And as an author, and as a creator, it's quite an ethical, it kind of gives you like an ethic feel that if you're doing that, you at least are putting money into a
Yes,
human person's pocket.
someone is getting, yeah, a human. So
Okay.
there's 11 labs. It is it's pricey-ish. I mean, in comparison to paying for human narration, it's super cheap, but it's
I think it's
as far
$99 for X amount of credits, correct?
for I think that's for about 10 hours of audio. So they on all of their plans, you can also have per credit billing once you reach your maximum. So you don't have to like wait for the next month for your credits to roll over. You can use up your credits and then activate the like per credit billing, I think it's what it's called, and then just pay for that extra amount, like if it's another 2 hours of audio or whatever.
Is how long do your books normally run in terms of audio? Because you've never written a short book in your life, I don't think.
Back in the day, I had a few shortish ones. My early fantasy is around about 70 to
Okay.
90-ish thousand, and
Okay.
now I'm close to like 120, 130. Okay, where was I going with that? Yes, so you can use 11 labs, and then you can use that file to sell on, you can upload it to Findaway Voices, and then it will be distributed to whichever platforms accept AI audio, which is not all of them, but there's a few.
Do you know offhand which ones those are? I think
So
obviously Amazon is out if you're
yeah.
coming through
So
Findaway.
any of the platforms that have their own AI. So Amazon has their own, Google has their own, Apple has their own. So you have to use their own if you want their AI. So I think
If you
via Find Voices, they distribute AI to Kobo and Everand, which used to be Scribed or Scribd, and Barnes and Noble, I think. And there's a few others.
Spotify.
Tried to, yes, but yes, that's the big one, the obvious one, sorry. And then a few other smaller ones that I can't remember. Yeah.
If you have your book through Findaway and it goes to all of those platforms, and obviously Spotify is the one we're wanting to hit there, then can you still then put that same audiobook and go through Amazon? I mean, could you then still create would you have to create a new audiobook through their AI and put it on? So you're
Hmm.
not limited in terms of, well, you can't put it on this platform if you put it on that platform. You would just have to pay for more AI to create a separate file.
Yeah. Or I don't think you have to pay for Amazon's one. I think it's free.
Okay. Okay.
Um, and Google's one, I think it's also free, but you have to have your ebook on Google Play. So it can't be like a KU exclusive ebook that you want to do the audiobook on Google.
I haven't even thought about Amazon, but do you think it's worthwhile? Is that something that you would do or no? Are you not?
Well, I've heard that the voices on Amazon are not that great.
Right. Okay.
And I am fortunate to have most of my audiobooks already done
Yeah.
by a human. So I might think differently if I didn't have all of that. If I was in your
Me?
position now, you basically got nothing and you've got 24 titles, I feel like you don't really have anything to lose. I mean, possibly from the readers who or other authors who don't like it at all, who might give you
Yeah.
negative reviews. But honestly, the negativity, it's very loud, but from a very small subsection of readers and
Yeah.
authors. So, and it doesn't preclude you producing it by a human later on. So I don't think you really have anything to lose.
Let's, speaking of that, I love, 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 and obviously we've chatted about this outside of this video, but I love the way that you look at things in tiers. Like you spoke about having an audiobook done by AI and then making it at the low end of the scale price wise for people who perhaps can't afford $35 for an audiobook, which is also very realistic. There are readers that can't afford, I mean, high-end audiobooks, but they just want to listen to the story when they're driving or washing dishes. And then to have, once it starts to generate revenue and you maybe are in a little bit of a better position financially with that book, to then create another product that is more high end using humans. So I love that whole model. Like, I just think that it's so smart. It's just such a nice way to look at it, you know?
Yeah, I really don't think it's an either or.
Yeah.
By having options, well, first of all, you're paying multiple humans if you have options, but you're also catering to different kinds of listeners, readers, consumers.
Yes.
Yes. So then that brings us to 11 Labs Other. option, which I know you get confused about the name sometimes. So, but let me also just mention there's another big one that authors use aside from 11 Labs, and the other one is called Play HT, which I think is not quite as good in terms of the voices, but I think it's more affordable. So I
Okay.
know a lot of authors who are doing like quite a lot and they have a large volume, so they don't want to pay as much. So they're using Play HT. Okay, so then going back to 11 Labs, they have an app called 11 Reader, which a reader or listener, on the consumer end, they're
Yes.
using
Now we're
11
flipping. We're
Reader.
flipping the switch.
Yeah. And then you, as the author, can use 11 Reader Publishing for free at the moment. I don't know if that will change, but currently it's free. And so it's different from 11 Labs in that 11 Labs gives you like a studio setup where you have quite a lot of control over, you can literally generate paragraph at a time over and over. You can change the nuance and you can also insert sound effects and things in their studio these days. It's quite cool. So you have a lot of control, but it costs you a bit more, obviously. And then at the end of all of that, you're basically clicking to export, and then you get this finished audiobook. So it doesn't change at all. Like that is the audiobook, and it's done. 11 Reader, you upload your EPUB, and then on the reader end, when they're using the app, they can choose whichever voice they want.
I don't
And
want.
then your book gets read to them in the voice that they like. So
So
it's
you
not
wouldn't
as
be able to
personal.
then proof it, yeah, because if there was like a mistake in terms of pronunciation, then that goes through without you being able to rectify it, which you can do if you produce it through 11 Labs.
Yeah, and some of the timing is a little bit weird. Like I listen to the start of the books where they read out the title and chapter number, and some of the words kind of run together a bit. But I think from the consumer end, you know exactly what you're getting. Like this is an app where I'm not sure if they're being charged yet or if they may be being charged for some titles and others are free, but they're certainly when or if they're being charged are not being charged a lot. So
Mm.
they know they're getting like this is the level of audio I'm getting for this price. It's
Yes.
this level of audio for this price.
And for
So
someone who devours audiobooks, I mean, realistically, who can afford audiobooks are expensive and rightfully so, but there are
yeah,
consumers who literally can't afford that. They would
yeah,
love
and
to listen. And then that leads to piracy. And I would rather someone's paying what they can afford for a lesser product than paying nothing for a pirated product. Do you know what I mean?
and people who listen on like 2x speed, who once you get to those higher speeds, like does it sound like a human anyway?
So
So
I listen on 2x speed because I read very, very, very fast when I read. And when I'm listening to a book, obviously my brain is processing it more quickly, unless it's something by like Matthew McConaughey or Rachel Hollis,
we
where
yeah
the voice is an
want to
experience.
enjoy the performance. Yeah. Have you listened to AI audiobooks? Because it
I
would
was
be
on that.
interesting I
Yeah,
would
to
like
see
to
if
know, like, yes, can you really tell that much of a difference if you're listening at 2x?
I'm gonna
Yeah.
try one. I'm gonna try one and feedback to you. I'm gonna give it a go. I might even do it on that 11 reader because I downloaded the app because I was so curious. Okay, so we've got 11 reader, 11 labs, play HT. Is that kind of your big
And
three or
there are others, but I can't remember all of them in there. So 11 Labs is kind of is the
the
main one,
top?
and then I see Play HT mentioned quite a lot as well. And
Okay.
then another one I've heard quite a bit about recently is Spoken, the Spoken dot press, and they
Yes,
are
I've also heard about this.
still in beta, depending on where you are in the world and how you say that. So I have had a look at their platform. I haven't done anything with it yet because you have to produce. Um, you can't do anything longer than 12,000 words, I think. I think I remember saying
Yes,
that.
yes, yes,
Uh,
yes. I logged on a while ago and I remember seeing that and thinking, oh, that's bitty.
so each project can't be longer than 12,000 words. And I mean, I don't even like a short story. That's
Chapter one.
kind of, yeah. Um, so, but what they've done that's quite cool. So they've built on other voices, other platforms, technology. So they have 11 Labs voices and Play HT voices and probably other voices from places I can't remember. And then they've built their system or whatever on top of it, where you upload your manuscript and their thing goes through thing. super techie, goes through it and it isolates all the characters and voices. So you upload your manuscript, and their system will automatically detect and isolate the various characters and their speech. And then you can go through and assign a specific voice to each of those characters.
Oh,
So
wow.
in 11 labs, this takes a lot more work because you have to go through each paragraph and assign a voice for each paragraph, whereas this system is automatically picking it up. So I haven't tested it myself, but it does sound like it's pretty cool. So I feel like maybe I should try and find something short that I've done,
Yes,
or
something short.
even
I've got
just
anthologies, those short stories. JT's got short stories coming out of it. Yeah, she should test it.
yeah.
She's
I'm
got
curious to
nothing else to
see.
do. I don't understand.
I know, not running an empire or anything.
That makes me think of the 11 labs. So if you're choosing okay, let's say you go into 11 labs and you choose a voice that has been licensed by a narrator and it is a feminine voice, that feminine voice is not going to drop if it's reading male um
Yeah.
dialogue.
So
I'm assuming it's just standardized, like.
yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
you
So
do
you
lose a bit of the experience. Obviously, narrators that do that really well, where they kind of drop their voice a few octaves if they've gone into male perspective. And
and they also getting emotion across. They have definitely improved, and you can kind of tweak it in the way that you write your sentences, or if you like bold certain words, or if you it does take into account the context. So if you're writing like he shouted or she
okay,
whispered, it sometimes gets that right, but it
okay,
is very difficult. Like it doesn't get the same emotional nuance that a human does. Like
yeah,
it's
see. And I'm
so.
assuming that it would take an incredible amount of man hours to proof it, because as an author, if you did want to use, even if it was a licensed narrator's voice, you still are going to want to have to listen to that. And if you have a book that's, say, 10 hours, that's 10 hours of listening plus edits, tweaks, changes. I mean, we're talking about a huge amount of time investment.
Huge. So I did this experiment about a year ago, a little bit over a year ago was when I started. I think I did tell you about this when I took From Storm and Shadow, and I started going chapter by chapter within 11 labs because Spoken Press wasn't around yet, or if they were there, I wasn't aware of them. And yes, doing like I was also rewriting it as I went through to make it more like a dramatized adaptation. So I was taking out like he said, she said, he shouted, whatever, and just had the voices and then like the narrated stuff in between. And then I was exporting that and taking it into, is it Premiere, the Adobe software that's for like audio editing and doing, and then adding in
Oh,
sound
wow.
effects. 11 Labs didn't have their sound effects thing yet. So I was doing it separately and then also adding in, I was basically trying to do like a graphic audio production, but like
Okay.
the AI version, just for fun to see how this would work out. And I was spending like almost a week per chapter with
Oh,
doing
wow.
barely anything else. So I stopped after
Okay.
6 chapters because I was like, I need to go do my actual work, like try to write new books. Like
Yes.
never going to finish anything else.
And where
So
would you put that? What was your intention? Where were you putting it to?
so I did each chapter on YouTube and
Okay.
my
Did you intend to perhaps put it onto find a way later once you'd
uh,
finished?
yes, if I had ever finished it, I would have been able to upload it to Kobo and I would have sold it direct on my own store. Findaway, it's a bit different because so even though they do accept 11 Labs files, you can't edit them separately. So I wouldn't, and I still wouldn't be able to upload something like that to Findaway Voices. Basically, you produce everything in 11 Labs and then you export it as a certain file type. And then you take that file exactly as it is and upload it to Findaway. So you can't do any other editing outside
Okay.
of 11.
Okay.
So I would have been quite limited if I had ever finished in like where I could sell it.
Okay.
Uh, but it was basically like a fun experiment for me, and I wasted a few weeks. Wasted.
L- It's all learning. It's all
Yeah,
holistic learning. Being an author, we are a jack of all trades, clearly a master of none because you didn't finish.
those chapters are still up on my YouTube channel for anyone who's curious
Oh,
and would like.
yes. I was just going to ask, where can we go and listen to it? I might go and do that.
I have since had the full audiobook done by a human. That was the
Oh,
85.
nice. So these are all the ways we can produce, and there are many. And I think, yeah, I think as an author, you just have to weigh up what it is you want out of it versus your budget versus your time you can spend. And then let's talk about distribution channels. So where once you've got this product, however you make it, or however you decide to create your audiobook, where then do you put it and how do you sell it?
Okay, so well, let's say that we're talking about a human narrated one because that gives us the broadest options. So
Yes.
obviously at the top is ACX because that's been around forever and a lot of authors
Yes.
who
And
have
that is
ACX.
Amazon, the giant.
So I haven't ever used it, but I know you can choose to either be exclusive or not exclusive.
But just to say, in terms of ACX, remember you can only use ACX if you live in the US, Canada, there's somewhere else, but it is not
Okay.
open to maybe the UK, yeah. But it's not open to us now here in SA. So if I know a lot of our 22 people that watch this podcast are local. So, just so they know, ACX is not an option unless you live in one of those bigger,
Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
so let's move on into then we get some other distribution platforms, which basically you upload and then they send it out as widely as possible. So Findaway Voices is one of the big ones. And we do need to note now for anyone who's listening to this in the future or the nearish future that in August this year, August 2025, Findaway Voices. So Findaway Voices is now owned by Spotify. So it's called Findaway Voices by Spotify. In
Okay.
August, it's going to be splitting into two different things, and we will get Spotify for authors. So you can use that like a direct channel to get onto Spotify. And then the other one is going to be called In Audio, capital
Okay.
IN Audio.
Okay.
And then In Audio will distribute everywhere else
And
platforms.
realistically, have you got books on all of the Findaway channels?
Yes.
Okay, so
So
if you compare your Spotify versus all those other little ones, excluding Amazon, how is the split between Spotify and all those smaller retail, or I call them smaller, no disrespect to them, but you just think of Spotify as being this giant, right? So what is kind of the split? Like if someone was going to go, okay, they've split, I have to choose one. Do I go with in audio or do I go with
you have to choose
Spotify?
both.
Do you choose both? Okay. Is it the same process or do you have to do double the work?
So at the moment, I think they're automatically putting everything on both, like if you are on Findaway already. And then if I understand correctly, after August, they're basically two separate platforms. So you will have
Okay.
to do double the work. You'll have to upload
Okay.
there and upload
And
there.
that's it. Okay.
But that's the way it
Yes. Well,
is.
your production is done in one. It's just the actual upload, right?
So
Okay.
Spotify, I don't know if their payment structure will continue as it is. It's a little bit difficult to determine like the breakdown between Spotify and the others because they have an a la carte model, so like sales, which they've had for quite a long time, quite a few years. And then about a year and a half ago, they introduced their streaming model where their subscribers, their premium subscribers, I think, get like 15 hours included in their monthly subscription to listen to audiobooks. So it's not like you're buying one audiobook. You can use your hours like to listen to 1 hour there and half an
Okay.
hour, 10 minutes there or
Okay. But
whatever.
that's actually quite a nice model compared to Amazon when they give you one credit and then it all goes on one
Yeah.
book.
So we don't have audiobooks on Spotify in South Africa. So I can't see what any of this looks like from the user side, which frustrates me.
Yes,
But
so
they
JT keeps telling me to listen to all these books on Spotify. She's like, but you've got premium, so why aren't you listening to audiobooks? And I'm like, I don't have audiobooks.
But they will probably come because they're expanding every quarter or so. They're adding new territories. Anyway, what I was
Oh,
saying
good.
about the payment structure is every month you can see your sales, so the a la carte sales, and then the streaming like per minute or per, yes, it's per minute. That only gets reported every quarter. And you get paid every quarter.
Okay.
So, I mean, obviously, if you go back over a year, you can kind of divide it up per month and you can see. But yes, each quarter we get like a little bit of a boost from Spotify. If you're one of the authors who was there in the beginning for the first quarter, we cashed it in big time, but it's gone way down since then, unfortunately, like all things do. Okay, that was Find a Way. And they're going to be splitting into in
Okay.
audio. Right? And then the other major one is Authors Republic. That's it's like Find a Way Voices, where they distribute to pretty much everywhere. Um, I there was a whole thing about a year ago or a little bit more when there was something about the terms and conditions and AI, and people were worried about stuff, and a whole bunch of authors jumped from Find a Way to Authors Republic. Um, I so I don't know if they misunderstood me, but I emailed because it looked to me when I was looking at their site and everything like I couldn't sell direct if I was with them. So I emailed and asked if I use Authors Republic to distribute my audiobooks, can I also sell them on my own store direct to customers? And they said no.
Oh,
And I don't know if that was a mistake, but they told me no. And I want to be able to sell my own stuff. So, and also I don't have
yes.
time to do all of my titles. So I was like, I'm just staying on Find a Way Voices. I'm here. So I
Okay.
don't have any experience with Authors Republic, but that is another option. And
Okay.
then Publish Drive, which is an ebook distributor, also
Yes.
distributes audiobooks.
Okay.
That's another option. But I think Find a Way Voices has more options. I
A
haven't actually
monopoly on that, yeah.
haven't compared recently, but also you kind of most you stick with where you are if you don't have time to move
Yeah,
things
shift your
around.
whole catalog.
Yeah, I'm not moving things at this point. Okay, there might be others. I'm not sure about Draft to Digital. Do you know if they do audio?
I don't
No.
know. I'm KDP now, so I don't I don't know much about what's going on out there. Every now and
There's
again I
a
poke my head out and I go, this is complicated, and then it's
backing. That was distribution platforms, and then there are platforms that you can go to directly. So Kobo is one of them. Um,
Okay.
their self-publishing platform is called Kobo Writing Life, for anyone who hasn't
Okay.
been. And Google Play, I haven't done myself, but I understand that you can publish audiobooks directly through your Google Play.
Does your Findaway Voices publish to Google Play? Okay,
Yes.
so you wouldn't need to do that anyway. Okay.
Then there are all the direct, like super direct, direct to customer. So like your
There.
Shopify
Yeah,
store.
yeah, this interests me so much because it's direct sales are obviously on the rise. We've spoken about it on the podcast quite extensively. I know JT's big on direct sales, but I think it's just the way that publishing is moving and just the world is moving. Authors are taking a lot more control over their work. I think you do have to have a significant readership to make it work. It blows my mind that you can sell these books. Like the thought of selling ebooks, like I've now got three of my books are not in KU, the Legacy Trilogy. So I've put them as ebooks and I did do it through BookFunnel. And it was just so cool. It's like I can sell an ebook to someone that they can read on their Kindle. Like I am Amazon now.
Teleport Amazon.
Yeah, that's me. Honestly, it's amazing. But yeah, so tell us a bit about using it in terms of audiobooks to supply people directly, because it sounds very complicated when it's just said, but
Well,
I'm sure it's simpler than I think.
it's so you can use BookFunnel, so the same as ebooks.
Okay.
Um, they'll deliver in the same way that you set up delivery. So they've got instructions for all their different platforms for how to set up delivery. So whether you're
Okay.
using Payhip or Shopify or one of the many others that they have integrations for. And
Okay.
you set up so that when your customer buys, it gets sent to them via BookFunnel. So they get an email from BookFunnel with a code, and then they can download it onto their phone. You can either listen in a browser. So like even on a phone, I think if you open a browser window, I think. But the
Okay.
easiest thing is to use the BookFunnel app, which is free. And
Okay. Okay.
yeah, it's got a really good audio player, so you just play it through BookFunnel.
Okay.
There's
Oh, and then
that.
YouTube. YouTube is a big one.
Well, big for some, I guess. Yeah. YouTube. Okay. In order to make any money, your channel has to be monetized. And the requirements for that are that you need 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 valid public watch hours over the past 12 months.
Okay.
Once you've got audiobooks on your channel. Audiobooks are long. So it's actually, most people find that it's easier to reach the 4,000 watch hours than it is to reach 1,000 subscribers. That part
Okay.
takes longer.
Okay.
And then you earn like half a cent per, I don't know what it is, but it feels like you earn half a cent for like a bazillion hours watched.
Oh, really? Is it like a very small,
Yeah, you really don't.
insignificant amount of money?
Yeah. Also, the way that YouTube works is that it rewards like constant content. So if you're not uploading stuff all the time, you kind of, my videos do still get watched slash listened to. I should actually look, I don't know what it is in terms of hours. It's like a few thousand hours per month, I think. But I'm getting like maybe like $50 a month now. Like it's not a lot.
Okay.
So you do really need like a lot of
Of
views to make.
content, yes. Maybe it's just not
Well,
worth
I
the
mean,
energy
if
that's
you've
going to be
got
expended.
if you've got the time, kind of may as well. I don't think that it cannibalizes sales from other platforms because I think it's a different audience. I didn't notice my
Yes.
sales go down at all when I first added all my audiobooks.
And you can because you're not tied in. Whereas with like ACX, we were tied in. That was it. You weren't allowed to have your audiobook anywhere else. So I actually see it as a blessing, not a curse, that this has happened. It's just going to be quite a lot of work. And once we've discussed, I know we've discussed how we can make these audiobooks and how we can publish them and how we can distribute them. And before we wrap up, I want to talk about marketing them because I think marketing is really one of your main skill sets. Well, certainly from where I'm sitting, you just seem to be this very good marketer of your stuff. And then before we wrap up, I'm going to ask you what you would do if you were me. So just prepare yourself for that. But before we get to that, and obviously just because I'm going to take that and I'm going to do exactly what you say. So let's talk about marketing
Okay, yeah, let's
audio.
just. Okay. In my experience, the way that my audio has done best is when I have complete series. So I
Okay.
have noticed for each one when I've only had like one book or one or two, it's kind of not done so well. And then as soon as something is complete and I can mark it like this is the complete series, then it's kind of taken off a lot more. So complete series does well.
Okay.
And
Okay.
just like back in the day for ebooks when we used to do free first in series for everything. I started doing that quite a few years ago for audio, which it's difficult when you've paid like tens of thousands of rands for the production of this book and you're just going to give it away for free. But yes, if you have the full series, then it comes back. So
Yeah.
this doesn't work on Amazon because, as we know, Amazon doesn't give us pricing control, so you can't make an audiobook free on Amazon. But for most of the other platforms, you can set a price at free. And then, so the streaming platforms are different. So something like Everand and Spotify, people are not seeing a price anyway. They're just listening to whatever.
Yes.
So this is a bit different. This is for the platforms where you're paying per title. So once you have free or a box set, you want to advertise it somewhere. So we have a few options. Chirp is the big one. That's the audiobook version of BookBub.
I
I
was just
think
going to say, is it like BookBub for listeners?
yes,
Okay.
it's run by the same people.
Oh,
So and I,
really?
yeah, it is. It's
Okay.
like it's
Okay.
their audiobook side. So you can do, they recently started something called Freebie Friday, which I haven't tried yet. So I can't speak from experience, but I have seen now you can submit your audiobook for Freebie Friday. Obviously, it needs to be free, and you pay for this feature. It is $150.
Okay.
Um, I assume that they're sending it out like by genre to relevant readers, but I haven't looked closely at that one. So what I
Okay.
have done quite a number of times is the Chirp featured deals.
Okay.
So just like with BookBub featured deals, they're sending out an email to a list of relevant readers. So it's fantasy or romance or YA. And but what is a little different is that it lasts longer. So they have it listed on their website for maybe like 30-ish days at this discount price. Usually from like 0.99 maybe up to 4.99, 5.99. I think that's kind of the limit-ish for a promo price.
Okay.
And those have generally done pretty well for me, especially if I take a box set and I have it at like 2.99. or $3 or $4.99. Because normally a box set for audio is like at least $20, maybe $30.
Okay.
So
And
that's
obviously,
a
this kind of promotion is only going to give you the maximum thing if you have it on Amazon because they are giants, and so you would need a human narrator.
so no, this is okay. It is only human books, but this is not for Amazon. So Chirp has their own platform. So this
Oh,
is
okay.
yeah, readers are buying on Chirp. So these are all Chirps.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you are getting extra visibility, so it's possible that someone is going to see it in their Chirp email. So like Chirp isn't available everywhere. So I we can't get just like we can't get so many other things. We can't
Yes.
buy from Chirp and we can't get the Chirp app or
Okay.
whatever it is we have. But if I get the emails and I see a book that I really like, maybe I'm going to go look for it somewhere else where I can get
Okay.
it. It is
Got you.
extra. Yeah, you don't have to
Okay.
pay for Chirp feature deals, but they decrease your royalty rate by 10% for the month that it is being promoted. So
Okay. And they retain that, obviously.
yeah, yeah. So that's
And you
like
can apply for that. They don't select it, you apply. Okay. Got you.
yeah. Then there is a site called Audio Thicket, which I haven't used recently, so I can't talk about success recently, but I have used it in the past. And that
Okay.
again, you would be making your audiobook free and then submitting, and then they send out an email like, hey, here's a free audiobook. Then their Kobo has their in-house promos. So if you publish through Kobo Writing Life, you may or may not have a tab on your dashboard that says promo. If you don't have it, you just email and ask them and they will add it. Then there are a few Facebook groups that are good to be part of for audiobook promotions. So there's a
Mhm.
big one called Stuff Your Earbuds. You
Okay. I love that name.
may have heard of Stuff Your Kindle in recent
Yes.
years.
Yes. Now it's
So
stuff
this
your
is
earbuds.
yes, this is kind of like the sister, the audiobook version. It's all romance subgenres. So if you don't have any romance, and if it's like a thriller or a mystery, then you are not going to be part of Stuff Your Earbuds.
Okay.
Um, so I think I've only submitted my Cinderella City of Wishes one because it's like it has a romance element in it, even though it's not
Yes.
romance. So I felt like, yeah, this kind of fits into it's like fairy tale romance or yeah. Everybody has a free audiobook, and then on the same day, everybody emails their list and everyone posts on social media, and we all send everyone to this one landing page, romanceaudiobooks.com, and that's got all the links for everywhere that all of these audiobooks are free. So yeah, you're getting a whole lot of free downloads and listens, and then hopefully readers are going through and buying your other audiobooks. Then there's the two Kobo groups. So there's a fantasy promo group where it's similar idea, like everybody emails their list on the same day and we all send everyone to a landing page on Kobo. And the other, the YOLO with Kobo
That's
Plus,
my
it's
best.
the romance one. Yeah, so that group is bigger because there are more romance
You
in it.
just got
And then I think there was one more. Okay, yes, then there's a
indie
site called
audiobook.
Indie Audiobook Deals, which I think is run by the same lady who put together the Stuff Your Earbuds promo.
Okay.
Yeah, if you go to indieaudiobookdeals.com, there's a variety of different promos that you can submit your audiobook for. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you look for it, there are actually some options out there to promote
Okay.
audio.
Yes, well, that's nice to know because again, I feel like audio is just, I think a lot of authors discount the audio side of things, when actually it's it's like one of the fastest growing, right, isn't it?
Yes, it has been for a number of years.
Okay, so we have spoken about producing, we've spoken about distributing, we've spoken about marketing. Okay, we've
Mhm.
given a lot of information, or you have, thank you. I've just listened and soaked it all in. So, if you were me, try you never have to be. So, if you were me and you now had all these books, all these series, all these boxes, like you kind of know what my list looks like, and not an audiobook in sight. And obviously for new stuff, there's more time and there's more energy and more when something's new and shiny as an author, you have more time for it. But I've got so much going on. I don't have huge capacity for this backlist, but I obviously need somewhere for the person who doesn't read and only listens.
Yeah, yeah.
If I need to serve that audience and I need to serve them as quickly and as efficiently as possible, what would you recommend that I did?
So
as a holistic strategy?
we have already established that we are pro-human narrator. That's obviously the best, but we can't always start there. So that's kind of like end goal, I think. So for starting out, I would go step one, 11 reader, because that is free at the moment. So the easiest thing to get into, because you don't have to pay anything, and all you do is upload your ebook, and you've already got all these titles in ebook. And then you're just filling in a little bit of metadata for each one, so it doesn't take too much of your time. And then they're sitting there. I mean, you could just leave it at that, or you could, next time you send a newsletter to your list, you could mention like, hey, if you haven't read some of my stuff and you're an audio listener, like I have this option. It's not perfect, but if you want to consume my books, like here's an
Yes.
option.
Okay.
And so that can kind of sit in the background and hopefully get some listens. I I know that you're very short on time, so I probably would not go YouTube, because it is quite a time suck, because you have to create so first of all you would have to do 11 labs or play HT or something else, because you can't 11 reader is its own system. You can't download anything off there.
Yes.
So you would have to pay something, and you would have to spend the time, or pay someone else to spend the time to produce the AI audio from 11 Labs or Play HT or somewhere similar. Download that, then you have to make a video out of it. So put it in some other software with a picture or a video, and then the audio, and then upload it on YouTube. And then how long is it going to take before you have all the subscribers and all the, like,
Yes, to monetize
by
that.
the time you get monetized, like the initial spike of all those views was probably like months ago. So by the time you get monetized, if you don't have new stuff continually to add, then it's not really worth the effort. So I would say if you're short on time, like don't go that route, at least not yet. And I would say also, if everything is on Amazon and you're eligible for their AI audio, what's it, voices, whatever the thing is called, I would say just go for it. Because I
Okay.
mean, if it gets like, if they get terrible reviews and someone's like, this is the worst audio I've ever heard, well, you can just turn it off.
Yeah,
Or
take it out. So
yeah,
you think do that rather than go with the Spotify?
so that you can also do that. So if we're starting from like what's the easiest and takes the least time, I would go 11 reader, and then the Amazon beta. I'm not sure how much time, I haven't done it myself, but I imagine it's fairly easy, because I don't think you have much control over what comes out and the voices and all of that. So publish that, and then next step, 11 labs, where you have to pay a monthly fee and produce maybe a book at a time, and then upload to Findaway, and then that would get you to it's at least 6 retailers, Spotify and whatever. So that would be my third
Yeah.
step. And also you can sell that one direct if you have your own store. And then after that would be if this is bringing in some income, or if I have income from elsewhere, then after that I would go to start human recording, human
Yes.
narrating.
Yes. Okay, and perhaps once they're all out there, I'd be able to do one at a time in terms of human, and just slowly build it like that.
Yeah.
Um, and because the Amazon, you could have both. You could have it on Amazon and on, because Amazon can't hold us there, right? They can't say, well, you're in KU and there's no, that's just an extra
Yeah.
service.
So you can't take the
Okay.
like their audio version specifically. You can only use it on
Yes.
Amazon. I don't think you can download it or use it in any other way. So it's like stays in their ecosystem, but that's
Okay.
fine. It stays there, and then you produce a different one that you can upload to Findaway. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So regardless, it is going to be some time, but I mean, it's something that has to be done. And would you suggest that I started with my longest series first and not bother so much with the standalones?
Yeah, I definitely go series. Or I should have mentioned when we were talking about the marketing and promo that a lot of these options don't accept AI audio.
Okay.
So at the moment, which is completely within their rights, that's fine. A lot of places want to only support humans, and that's great. So yes, just so you know, for probably most of no, so the Kobo in-house stuff, you can publish AI audio, and I think you can. promote, or you at the very least you can submit to their promotions and they can decide if they want to say yes or no. But I
Okay.
think for the rest of it, in terms of marketing and promoting AI audio, it is more difficult.
Okay.
Yeah.
I must be honest, as much as Amazon's messed me around, I did love their model of a royalty split between narrators and authors, because what happened was it was also narrators were in the same boat as authors. They didn't have enough work, so they could build up kind of a portfolio at the same time. And it was just such a nice, it was affordable. It was like a real co-op between author and narrator. And it was usually, like I say, narrators that had to build a project and didn't have opportunity. I mean, if you're starting out as a narrator, it's very difficult to find someone to pay you if you don't have any work to
Yeah.
show. I just liked that whole partnership. I thought it was very,
Yeah.
very cool.
That's,
I get quite a few narrators now coming up on my TikTok. So that's another way to find them, I guess, is to look on, and then they often will have videos of them talking. So you can hear a lot of their sample work. Oh, that gives us a lot to think about. Homework.
always more
Thank
homework.
you. Oh, there's always just so much to do. It's like this never-ending cycle. But I think that audiobooks are definitely something that every author should have as quite a high priority, because it is growing. You're cutting a huge part of your readership out without supplying an audiobook version of your book. Um, so I think it should be taken there, and people do need to kind of educate themselves in the best way for them to go about it. Okay, Rach. Well, thank you. Thank you for coming on and for chatting to us. And we will definitely have you again, because we have quite a few things we want to talk about.
I would
Influencer
love to.
marketing. Yes, influencer marketing. And what else did we chat about that I thought would make a really good
You mentioned
that you
publishing
thought?
wide, even though I'm far from an expert at that.
What was it? Publishing? Oh,
Publishing
publishing
wide.
wide. Yes, because that is also something so many people now have gone into KU, that even people who are maybe experienced at wide publishing previously, it's changed so much they probably don't know anything anymore. Whereas you've
Well, yeah.
stayed wide, haven't you? For most of your publishing career, you've
For,
stayed wide.
yeah, for most of my stuff, the new series that I've launched this year is going into KE though. I mean, it's so what
Okay.
I've done, I mean, only one book is out so far, but I planning to do the same thing for each book where I put it into KU a few days after it releases. So for the first few days, I have it on Amazon and I also have it on my own store because I do still have readers who normally buy on Kobo or Google or whatever, and they either can't or they don't want to buy from Amazon. So then I hopefully I managed to reach them within the first few days, or I have been warning them the whole way through the pre-order.
Yes, that it's coming.
So it'll be on my store. You'll have a few days. Okay, now it's live. You have a few days. Okay, a bunch of people will go buy it there, and then I take it off my own store and then I put it into KU.
And then will you leave it there for quite a while?
That is my plan. So these books are quite long. So I'm
Okay.
benefiting from the page
Page
reads.
reads.
Being short on time, it makes marketing difficult because often your strategy is different for different platforms.
Yeah.
So, and also the upload process, and like every time there's a change, like, do you want to upload to 7 different places, or do you want to just be like one ebook, one paperback, one hardback? Okay, I'm done with the update. Trying to just simplify the process for this. And
Okay.
then once the series is done, I'll reevaluate and see how
And when do you think it will be done? What is your publishing timeline?
this year is the
Oh
plan.
wow! That's a big goal. Okay. Well, best we get off the
Yeah.
internet and back into the writing cave.
2025 is the year. The
But
year.
yeah, 100%. Yes, there's big words coming out of our author word war. I must be honest, I'm excited. Okay, well, thank you so much. I wish for you all the words today.
You too.
Okay. Thanks, Rach. Okay, bye. Bye.